Ja, dames en heren, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first Smart Talk on areas and living. So the idea is that we have two presentations of 7 minutes. First, the presentation of Shailin Lim, and he will take 7 minutes. And then I will allow 1 or 2 questions for clarification questions, verduidelijkende vragen. And then the presentation of the second person, Willeke Slingerland, will be given 7 minutes. I'll allow another 1 or 2 questions for clarification, and then I'll invite them both on the stage, and we can have a Q&A, and we can debate, discuss what about the research and the relevance and the impact. Is that okay for you? Are you excited? Yeah? I'll do it again. Are you excited? Oké, dames en heren, geef hem dan een groot applaus. Shailin Lim, dames en heren, groot applaus.
Good afternoon, everyone. My talk is as follows. First, I will assert why philosophy matters. Then I will discuss the crypto-anarchist and cypherpunk philosophy. It will be followed by a description of the essence of blockchain, and I will also make a comparative analysis with the crypto-anarchist and cypherpunk philosophy. And finally, I will discuss what types of applications we can expect in the near future from the crypto space that adhere to this philosophy. So first of all, why does philosophy matter? Well, I believe that if we really want to understand the social and practical implications of blockchain, that we cannot dismiss the philosophy that gave birth to it. So if you look at the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin blockchain has been heavily influenced by this philosophy. It's a philosophy that seeks privacy, political freedom, and economic freedom through the use of cryptography. Cryptography is the science to conceal or to make information unintelligible. Therefore, the crypto-anarchists and the cypherpunks, they created such applications as untraceable payments, untraceable email, and secure payments. Secure messaging. Timothy May, he was the founder of the cypherpunk movement, and he defines crypto-anarchy as the cyberspatial realization of libertarian anarchism. And he says that for libertarians, strong crypto provides the means by which government will be avoided. Another famous cypherpunk member was Julian Assange. Assange, he wrote that all civilization has reached a crossroads. In one direction lies the future, promoting privacy for the weak and transparency for the powerful. Cypherpunks advocate the use of cryptography and similar methods as ways to achieve societal and political changes. So if we sum up what they wanted to achieve, we can say that they wanted to have transparency, especially transparency of governments. They are voluntarists. They believe that every social and economic interaction should be allowed as long as it happens on a voluntary basis. They are also strong advocates of privacy. They believe that everyone has the right to privacy. They believe in strict property rights. They are supporters of free markets, and they would like to eliminate the government monopoly over money production. And they are also supporters of decentralization of power. They believe that social order can happen from the ground up. Now, we know that. Let's look at the Bitcoin blockchain and compare it to traditional centralized databases. So what you see on the top, that's a traditional centralized network with a central server. A central server has a database, and the database has an administrator. This administrator, he can determine who can add what content. He can determine what content can be added on the database. He controls your password, he controls your username. And this is very prone for corruption, very prone for censorship. If you would like to hack, or if you would like to break down this centralized network, all you need to do is corrupt the administrator, or you have to attack the central server on which the database is stored. Blockchain, in that sense, is radically different. Because within blockchain, you also have a database, but this database is distributed among a large network of computers. Every computer on this network has the exact exact same copy of this blockchain. And every computer also verifies every transaction, every mutation that happens on the blockchain. And if you would like to hack the blockchain, you would have to hack into all these different computers, or at least reach consensus among the majority of these computers that your corrupted data is the right data. Now let's compare the Bitcoin blockchain with the crypto anarchist and cypherpunk philosophy. The Bitcoin blockchain is also transparent. It's open source. Everyone can look into the code, and every transaction can be followed. It's also voluntarist. You are free to join the Bitcoin network. You are not coerced to join it. You're also free to leave it. And this is very different from the USD or the euro, where you are coerced to use the USD or the euro. You're used to use the national currencies. It's a big proponent of privacy. Anyone, anywhere can create a Bitcoin wallet in 5 seconds. You don't have to provide any private information, and Bitcoin addresses are pseudonymous. They have strict property rights within blockchain. No one can take away Bitcoin from you, as long as you have your own private key to which you have access to your Bitcoin wallet. It introduces competition into the industry of money production. And lastly, it is decentralized, because the blockchain is distributed among a large network of computers. The network is radically neutral. It doesn't matter whether you are a king, whether you are a prime minister, or whether you're a humble, small civil servant. Everyone on the network is treated the same. Now, if you notice, what types of applications can we expect in the future that adhere to this philosophy? Well, the type of applications that we will see in the future are distributed autonomous organizations, or DAOs for short. A DAO is an organization with no single point of decision making. It is open, it is inclusive, it is ruled by machine consensus, and it is not ruled by a select group of people. The first DAO was created in 2008. The Bitcoin was a DAO, because there is no Bitcoin company. There is no Bitcoin executive. If you would like to update the Bitcoin network, you need to reach consensus. You need to go to forums, and you need to discuss what will be the next update that we are going to implement. And only when 70% of the computers or 90% of the people vote for a particular proposal, then this proposal will be implemented in the network. So, if you think about DAOs, think about applications like a Facebook application without a Facebook company or without a Facebook executive. Think about a YouTube without a YouTube company. Think about investment managers that is managed by the whole community and not by a small set of fund managers. And think about autonomous cars owned by a community and not owned by a single party. So as a closing remark, I would like to say that we have a very bright future ahead of us. I really believe that with blockchain, we will create a world that will be much more democratic, much more decentralized, and also much more equal. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Yeah, 1 or 2 clarifying questions are allowed. Who would like to ask a question? Or was everything very clear? Let me see. Yeah? Okay, I'm going to test whether you understood everything now. No. Thank you for now, because after the presentation of the next researcher, we will have a Q&A session. So give her a warm welcome to the stage, Willeke Slingerland.
So, hello everybody. My name is Willeke Slingerland. I work as a lecturer, professor of government, markets and society. We do all kinds of research in the field of good governance, corruption and security issues. I will talk shortly about the topic of capacity building in conflict-affected regions. In particularly the case of Yemen. So we as a research group on Saxion, cross-border of the academy, we have been working on a project in Yemen. And Yemen is a Dutch priority. And you might think, why are we involved in Yemen? Well, as you can see, Yemen is right up here, southern of Saudi Arabia. And the Dutch government has decided, amongst other European Union member states, that we need to continue to invest in this region while it is running a risk of becoming a failed state. So Yemen used to be, well, sort of developed state, and at the current issue with the coalition Iran, Saudi Arabia backed up, there's a civil war going on. It's a war-torn region. So it's a dire situation, humanitarian situation. People are dying and starving. So what Saxion opted for is to be involved in this project, to still invest in the younger generation. Because schools are closed, universities have been captured by Al-Qaeda and all sorts of other militias. So we run the risk of yet another risk-filled state in this fragile region. So what we do as Saxion, with all the knowledge we have on security issues, entrepreneurship, long-distance learning, is actually to work together with a local organization. And the reason why we are involved is because, like I mentioned, the risk of Yemen becoming a failed state if we leave it alone the way it is, but also because it involves the security issues locally in Yemen and, well, the risk we run when all these young people go off, become refugees, and the only thing what people can do, young people there now, is to become a terrorist. That's the only source of income which they can have. So what we do is try to invest in their knowledge, in their leadership skills to make a difference on their own soil. So why are we involved? Saxion has, has signed the Sustainable Development Goals. There are 17 of them. One of them is gender equality, the other is strong institutions for security. So this is one of the projects in which we try to get our message heard, that we as a University of Applied Science can help with, well, actually observing these goals and making them a success. The other reason on the left-hand side is that we have a lot of knowledge on the field of technology, enabling technologies, so data technologies. Our academy has chosen security as a main topic. We have a lot of knowledge working with police and so forth. So that's one of the reasons. And of course, on the right-hand side, also our knowledge, our experience with providing education long distance. So if you're not able to physically go to a lecture, you can do it from home. So that's what we hope to do in Yemen. And we are currently working with the Youth Leadership Development Foundation, a well-known, established organization with people who have been studying across the world. These are talented people who have been studying in the Netherlands, but also well-established universities like Oxford and so forth. So they are still there. So we need to prevent them, the country becoming a brain drain. So what we do is we help this organization as an umbrella organization with our knowledge on the field of education, on the right-hand side, but also left-hand side, you see the henna tattoos, entrepreneurship. There is no civil service anymore, so people try to make a living by becoming an entrepreneur themselves. So we have a lot of knowledge from our Center of Entrepreneurship involved in the project to help this organization across Yemen in all the regions on the field of how to develop leadership skills, education for girls. On the left-hand side, the humanitarian aspect, which is involved in a security agenda, and on the right-hand side, also to transfer technology. To transfer technology to make sure people remain independent themselves. So what we now have helped is to open a ward center. Ward means flowers. It's it's a sort of reference to our tulips. And this is a girls' school, a girls' education center where entrepreneurship also plays a big role. So young women there come as entrepreneurship, and we help them with their business plans. And it's a peer-to-peer way of learning. So on the one hand, it's a safe harbor. You can see the wall, and we have also the security officials in place. It's education, long distance, on their mobile phones with use of computer. It's the entrepreneurship, like I mentioned. We help them with their business plan. Of course, we needed to ensure childcare. And what we now see is actually people who used to be involved in fighting with one another because of ethnical backgrounds now become, on this neutral soil, become a community again. So we need to invest in this kind of community, in this kind of entrepreneurship, in this kind of education for Yemen not to become a failed state with all the brain drain and all the security issues locally and on European soil. So what we now what I would like to discuss, maybe you have some ideas on it, is what we do. We use, of course, information technology. We use our Saxion sources. Many of the publications, many of the research, many education is widely available on the internet. And the question is, how can the usage of creative forms of information technology and communication help people in conflict-affected regions to create content together and to start communities of learning? Because these young women and men, these are world citizens. So, like I mentioned, they would like to learn from and with one another. So here up there is Marco Strijks. He's up there, my colleague from the Center of Entrepreneurship. And what he has done actually, and hopefully you can briefly say something about that, is to help all these entrepreneurs and these students with learning from one another via a platform, a digital platform in which best practices and cases can be shared. So in this way, we as Saxion hope to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by using our core expertise on entrepreneurship and long-distance learning with the bigger security and humanitarian aspect as a goal. Thank you.
Yeah. Does anybody have a question for clarification? Something they want to have some clarification on? Yes.
Yes, my name is Thomas Walder. I'm wethouder from the municipality of Deventer.
Welkom.
Thank you. I have a question about refugees from Yemen. Why do we see such a small amount of refugees of Yemen in the Netherlands compared to, for example, Syrian refugees?
Yeah, this is. You didn't want a headset, yeah.
Well, they recently, last 6 months, they stayed among the neighboring states, so they have not reached European soil. It's difficult for them to get there, so they remain in parts of Africa. So that's where they got from Aden to the African part, and up more in the north. But I don't see any obstacles in the future for them to come over here, because there has been a study from our own government which says, well, in the near future, many of these countries will find a way to find Europe. So in that sense, Yemeni are proud, they're resilient. Generally, they would like to stay. And I haven't compared it to Syria, for example. So there is still a reason for them to stay also. They feel that the heart is there and they want to make a living. But it's a vulnerable situation. It can change in the coming months.
Good question, because of course Eritrea is quite nearby, only a sea away, and they are entering Europe in a big way, in big numbers. Thank you for that question. Two presentations of two researchers, both trying to change the world, right? One believing that your technology analysis philosophy of Bitcoin and distributed blockchain technology is actually creating a more democratic world. Yep. And the other saying, okay, we have all these capacities to actually help in a country now risking to be a failed state in helping actually these people. So both idealistic scientists, right?
Yes, I'm definitely very idealistic.
Yeah. I asked for clarification questions on blockchain. It's always a risk, but can you in 2 sentences say to a complete layman, what is blockchain?
Blockchain is a database.
It's just a database, as we all know databases.
Yes, indeed. The difference with a normal database is that it is distributed among a large network of different computers.
Yes.
So if you want to hack it, it will be very difficult because you will have to go through all these different computers that are connected on the network.
Yeah, it's sort of like an original copy of each other, right?
Yes.
On all these different computers, there's the same copy of the same database.
Yep.
And if something changes in one of the one of the computers, it changes on all computers around it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
After verification of all the other computers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, I thought I hoped that I understood it correctly.
No, it's correct.
Yeah. And so you actually have like you do research, philosophy research, but you also prescribe something, right? You say this is what we should do, isn't it? You have an idea that this is creating a better world if we would have much more distributed models.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can give one example of something that I've created myself together with my brother. We've created a new blockchain. It's called the Serai blockchain.
Serai
Yeah,
blockchain.
Serai, that stands for freedom in Cambodia, in Khmer. I'm Cambodian myself. And that's what I really like about your topic, is that I notice in Cambodia, there's not a lot of knowledge happening over there. And if I look at the Facebook messages of Cambodian people, they mostly only share content, but they don't create content. But I think that you learn most by creating content yourself. So the Serai blockchain is like a social media blockchain where Cambodian people can add content to. And by the number of votes they receive, they also receive Serai coins. So this is how we give them incentive to contribute to more content. And right now we're also looking into how we can expand it with all the universities in Cambodia, just all to support the intellectual development in the country.
Yeah. So they get coins, and what can they do with these coins?
They can sell these coins.
Yeah. And they have value in the real economy.
Indeed, they have value in the real economy.
Okay.
So you can compare it with Facebook. Facebook uses our content and sells it to advertisers. But on our platform, it's the writers who make the money themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you exactly how you said it. We want social media without the social media company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Okay. Who wants to ask a question or debate the researchers? What do you think is interesting about the researchers' propositions? I'm going to come to you in a short while because of your. She already said you want to say something about entrepreneurial schooling, but yeah.
Well, I read that blockchain can be some sort of microcredit system also to help people artists, but maybe also in Yemen. Or can you explain how that can work? So using blockchain as a micro credit system.
Yeah. So I can speak of the example of Cambodia is that sometimes people want loans in Cambodia. And then they take micro loans, right? But the loans it's very expensive. It can go up to 25–50%. But if you have a community who would like to pool together some money together, like everyone in this room, we can put in, let's say, 100 euros. We put our money in a platform, and then we can allow Cambodian people to send in proposals like, I would like to use 1,000 euro to start up a business, for example. Then it is us who can provide the loans, and because you only need a small number of people to add credit, I think you can you will create much more competition within the micro loan industry, and the loans rate will also go lower, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Interesting idea. Are you looking into those kinds of technologies in Yemen as well?
Is it on? Yeah.
Because this is, of course, an example of research from Saxion.
Yeah. Well, we realized along the way that even communication with our partners in Yemen is difficult.
Yes.
Because there's always the security risk of intelligence services listening in, thinking of our pro-Western democracy agenda. So we now currently use encrypted communication technologies to make sure that we really get a clear picture. But indeed, blockchain as a means for microcredits transfer might be a really good idea also for the Ward Center when we start actually transferring money and when the entrepreneurs receive money. So this is currently also in our mind. But thank you for the valuable suggestion.
Yeah, and are there already students in the Ward Center? When are you going to start?
Well, there have been pilots. And we recently opened the Ward Cafe, and of course it's a very ambitious project. So we said we need to first start with small entrepreneurship, small peer-to-peer learning, to make sure that we have the dot on the horizon and we gradually develop. So indeed it has been opened, and what is very great for us as Saxion, that this Ward Center and the YLDF organization itself, they literally say this is the only project which is about us being the umbrella organization for the rest of the country. Because of course, the UN, World Food Programme, there are many NGOs active in this region. But they all want to work with YLDF. So what YLDF now is currently doing is becoming a more professional organization. And if they have their H&R, their public procurement, their entrepreneurship, everything on a solid level, then actually they can become this umbrella organization to work with all the other NGOs. Because normally NGOs, what we came across, they actually work on one good cause. It's humanitarian aid, it's child marriage protection. But YLDF is trying to link all of these together. So think about transfer of knowledge as a means to prevent a humanitarian crisis. So, and that's why they are pleased with our mainstreaming idea.
Yeah. And when are the first distance courses going to start? Because we are experts in that, of course, as Saxion.
Yeah.
So when are the courses the students going to start learning?
Yeah, well, they have, of course, YLDF, the organization itself, has been there for a while. But this summer, the first courses will start. So there will be some courses in English language, of course, which has been, well, diminishing the knowledge of English, which is important to be able to communicate worldwide. Leadership skills, IT skills, well, like I mentioned, and basic entrepreneurship. These are the courses which we help them to develop and offer via web lectures, but also the old-fashioned putting them on a disk, because there's not always the Wi-Fi connection. So you need to make sure that it's not depending on, well, the electricity and the Wi-Fi. Yeah.
So you're sending in CDs to
many means. Yeah. Yeah. And some of them only have their cell phone, so via an app. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm gonna look at the room, if there's any adding something question. Yes. Please. Who are you?
Ronald Visser from the archaeology course. Just wondering, why Saxion and why Yemen? And what's in it for the students? No, but there are lots of countries who have problems and failed states, etc., etc. There's lots of countries, also lots of organizations who can help out. So why should Saxion help in Yemen?
Yeah. Good question about the legitimacy. Well, Yemen is one of the 6 priority countries from our government. So Palestine has been another one which we have been working on. So this is just one of the projects. So we are active in many countries in the region. Yemen, like I mentioned, it used to be a country where there was a lot of education and high-level education. So we have a lot of students, alumni. I've been teaching courses to Yemeni students who I now get in touch with. They're back home. So we have a natural connection. There's a connection from our government as setting as a priority, like I mentioned. Of course, Syria has been on our minds a lot. Yemen is also referred to as the forgotten war. If you see what happens in Yemen, it's, of course, the geopolitical aspects are very important as well. If this becomes another failed state, also the Saudi Arabia, Iran conflict might emerge. So there are many dimensions, politically, economically, socially, reasons why we are active there. Our students are actually involved in this project. So we have a lot of our students from all different schools from Saxion who do small research projects as part of this bigger project. So because we are involved here, we also are involved in the UN Women Agenda, which Yemen is one of the country's focus points. So our students have a lab research assignment in which they actually travel to The Hague to get the message across how we should mainstream gender. So many reasons, but I'm pleased that actually we can make a difference, because so many other organizations do not see Yemen, but they do see Sudan and Mali and Syria.
Is it what is the answer? It is an answer. Yeah. Well, that is a bit of a dooddoener. Yeah. Yeah.
Is there any room for archaeology in there?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You should tell us, because of course Yemen is amazing.
Yeah.
Archaeology in Yemen. So.
Yeah. Yeah, in Sana'a there are many very archaeological sites and buildings which are worthwhile protecting. Of course, similar to Syria, a lot of things have been damaged, have been collapsed, but there's still a lot to be protected or to be conserved. So they're proud people. So if I haven't asked them literally that question, but if you ask them back to their cultural rituals, their coffee, they have big, coffee production. These are things they are taking really much pride of.
Yeah.
So I would like to talk to you to see whether
Yeah.
we can exchange this, because currently we've asked, for example, the Jan de Bouffry Academy, also part of Saxion, to look at the Word Café for the interior design. So there are many aspects to this project in which we as Saxion, with the applied sciences, can make a difference. So-
Interesting, because we
So
want to
let's have a
prevent, of
talk
course,
afterwards, please. Yeah.
we should prevent what happens in Iraq and Afghanistan with all these major cultural sites, cultural heritage sites, which have been completely devastated. So this is interesting. This is going to be a marketplace where also researchers say, can I join the project with my research? I like that. Thank you so much for already a success. U zwaait of wilt u iets zeggen? Ja, precies. U zwaaide naar deze meneer. You were already mentioned in the talk, of course, because you were on one of the photos giving an entrepreneurial course, actually, I think in Yemen, right? Or was it here?
In Jordan. It was in Jordan. Yeah. We met in Jordan, but most of the time we met online. We use Appear, and we can see each other, and we can work with each other. So we work together.
Are there already businesses started because of the entrepreneurial courses they did with you?
We started with the Word Café themselves. We made a social business model canvas. There's a normal business model canvas, but we used the social model now. And now we're going to look if there's the first entrepreneur who want to start with their own company. There are some companies, but we didn't involve at this moment.
Okay.
But it will start soon.
So the first business case you actually talked about in research was the Word Center itself. Interesting. Yeah. Time? Yeah. Is het al afgelopen? Echt waar? Laatste vraag. Last question or comment? No. Well, give them a very big thank you for their presentations. And all the luck with changing the world.